everybody. Another podcast. 113 is the episode number. Patriots. We are here. We are our sons, and we are podcasting. So I guess that fits the title. We'll probably just gonna shoot the shit. I first want to say I hope all of you eat so much tomorrow that on Friday you look like Chris Christie, and I want you to be thankful to God that you were able to get that much food into your body and increase your body mass by 300 pounds. And I will be glad if you can do that. So let's start from there. We definitely won't be running a show tomorrow,
No,
but we are running today. Look, we'll get into some interesting stuff. That's where
listen,
we're going.
listen, folks. Sean, the technological wizard that he is, we're we're busy offline making sure that all of our connections work. That's why you don't see the usual um, turret behind me. This is actually my beauty salon. I know when you've seen me on these shows, you think to yourself, "Man, that guy really must be in the beauty industry." And sure enough, sure enough.
Yes,
I shirt with a collar. Look at these glasses.
I
I don't know
know.
if it's
Sharp.
seriously the hair. Yeah,
Hair's all done.
very, very credible, uh, august presence in the
Neon,
beauty.
neon. Well, it's not neon, but it looks like neon in the background. The beautiful lighting of the display of the name of the salon. It's a
Right.
really it's a really good setting for tonight's events. It
Yeah,
really
and
is.
and Sean even followed us on TikTok, so that was kind of
I
cool too. Yeah,
did. Yeah,
he
I
did.
gotta find your head stylist too, because I that way I can repost and do stuff like that. Absolutely. But
Okay.
I found the salon. So if you're looking for the salon on TikTok, what's the account name?
Um, new season spa, newseasonspa.com.
There you go. And it is. I will tell you, it is not New Season Spa STL. That is a totally different TikTok account.
That's a different deal.
Yes. So there we go. Man, we got. I really want to talk about the United Kingdom, or should I correctly label them as the British Empire?
I prefer
Doing
to.
away with most jury trials. A jury being a jury, 12 panelists, 10 panelists, 9 panelists of supposedly peers. I know they're not always peers, but of other citizens that get to sit and make a decision on your court case in front of a judge. They're taking that
people
away.
people people have been hearing about the UK or the British Empire or whatever about all these different outrageous things, like you post something on social media and the police come to your house while a migrant is raping a woman 1 block away, and they let him out, let him go free, and you spend a year or two in prison, and he's released after 3 months. And you have to remember, Mark Stein is a British, well, actually, he's a Canadian Jew who
Yeah,
obviously has a lot of British roots, and he would always be my source on British subjects.
Mark
And he
Stein was
said,
also one of the, for those of you in Rio Linda, was
yeah,
also one of the very rare, because Rush didn't take many days off, but very rare uh, Limbaugh hosts on the EIB
and he
network.
was great, and
Oh,
he
he
was great.
was fantastic. He said broadcasting from the frozen Northern Command.
Yes, and in fact, he ended up getting involved in a venture with Mark Levin or Tel Aviv Levin, as he's now known, at, at a conservative review, and that did not go well. It turned out the guy who was running conservative review was a scoundrel. Um,
Dude,
like
he
a
got messed
textbook.
up with GBN too. He had a show on GBN, like, like, I thought he probably thought he was going to be able to change the network, and he
Yes.
what a failure that was. I'm not mad at Mark for doing it. I think he should have tried it, but, oh god, it was awful.
No, he really has to be discouraged. I mean, he even lost his lawsuit against Michael Mann. And I mean, when you look, and that was a preview of what was going on in the DC circuit. So Mark Stein is a star-crossed figure for me. I find him to be as witty and intelligent and insightful as
Yes.
if you have ever wondered about American culture, Mark Stein has a book called Broadway Babies Say Goodnight, and it is basically the history of the American theater. And he will tie these horizontal connections together with what sort of musical this was or what sort of play this was, what was going on in the nation at that time, who was hot, who was not, the ifs and the whys associated with the cultural trends that created these careers and helped sustain them. It's fascinating reading for anybody who cares about America. Um, he's just a brilliant man, a brilliant man. Now, with that lead in, when he says something like, Great Britain's been anxious to surrender to someone for decades, it it sticks with you. I mean, he even wrote a book called America Alone because
I
what he saw the collapse of Western civilization outside of the United States, and he was encouraging U.S. elites to resist the pull to circle the drain with the rest of them. And he was an early and loud critic of our dalliance with Islam and mosques and all the other nonsense that we import as refugees.
if
And
but
yet,
if you look at his statement, it's really true on fact, but what it's missing is a little nuance in that I believe the British Empire still wants to British Empire.
right,
I believe that they have been inundated with politicians who want to end the West. And so you have a conflicting merger in the British Empire that I believe everyone's like, America's going to civil war. It's hot. It's hot. We're going. No, 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 no. That will happen in England first,
right.
and it will, and it will be between jihad and originalist British Empire types.
And represented, if you want a name to go with it, it's Tommy Robinson, the guy
Yeah.
who was willing to stand there and say, these guys from the Middle East are grooming these young girls in these group homes in these different places, and they're abusing them, and nobody's doing a thing about it. And he'd continue to report on it. And every time there was a big incident, the impulse from the British authorities was to throw him in prison.
Yep.
And
Well, you gotta get into more detail. A lot of those, judges had been imported over 20, 30, 40 years and
and
were Muslim.
and they were also in on it. That's
Yeah,
that's another part is
yeah,
that there were members
which
of the
is you
Fed
can see
that
that
were
too
in.
happening in America. We're not as bad off in America, but you can still see the same type of coup, color revolution activity happening inside of America. All I was pointing out, and we'll get our friend the Canuck back on because he's unfortunately in a colony of Great Britain. He's in the British Empire. He has a
Yes, he
king,
is.
and have a conversation with him about this. And noticeably, we should mention to our listeners, our watchers, that wow, it's picking up numbers. That he when we talk to him, and we talk to him at least a couple times a week, if not more, is that he is really, and this is not his fault. He's a very smart guy, very intelligent guy. He is not up to date on modern American events because they are censored. All news is censored in Canada. He's from Canada. And it's censored. He has no idea about we'll talk about just on the phone some current event that's happening. I mentioned to him via text message today, holy crap, the British Empire is going to basically end trial by jury. And he goes, "What? What are you
Right.
talking about?"
Right.
Right? And
See,
that shows you how censorship works in the British Empire, the United Kingdom, you can call it that today, but it's the British Empire. Their censorship campaign is just as bad as any other bad thing you could mention. Mao Zedong, Stalin.
yeah. Uh, I mean, let's call it like it is. Lenin himself, the Pol Pot, any of those people, those murderous thugs. The way socialism always ends up at the barrel of a gun, every single time, every single time. If it lasts at all, that's how it sustains itself, is through tyranny,
Oh,
tyrannical force.
oh, I just catching up with Angry Vulcans in the chat room. I love that guy. Absolutely love that guy.
Does he want
Pol
to come
Pot.
in? Does he want to come in?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll just say it. I'll ask.
All right. I felt like I was talking to my ex-wife there for a minute. He started laughing.
No,
He's
no,
not even
I
listening to me.
no, I'm totally listening, but then I look over at the live chat, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Holy crap, Angry's in there." He's dropping comments after comment. He's totally paying attention. We love Angry. He's totally been on the podcast. If he wants to join, I will totally D him a link right now, but he doesn't have to if he's busy. Well, up to him. But yeah, great guy. What a great guy.
That would be fun. Just to wrap up with what was going on in the UK. What elites in the West have figured out is that it's more lucrative for them, being no talent bums, to sell out their civilization on the way down, and it's more lucrative. They have something to offer as
Is
opposed to
is
try
that
to build.
not what Bernie Sanders speaks about incorrectly in America, but it speaks about that's called an oligarchy.
Right.
The super ultra elite, not necessarily the billionaires, not necessarily the super rich, the super elite that are in the club. They get to just control everything because in all honesty, the oligarchy types believe they are much smarter than the average human being. And because they are smarter, they must guide the average everyday person through their life, saying you should only eat vegan or you shouldn't consume petroleum. Or you could go on and do like a
But
thousand different
but
things.
it's okay for them to do it, but just not you.
Just not you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they jet set. Of course, they just jet set. They do all the things that we all laugh at them, right? We're just like, really? Oh, uh, how many how many carbons did you put into the air with your jet flight,
Yeah.
Mr. Kerry?
You show the airfield at Davos, and everybody brought their own plane, and they're talking about climate change. Now, I haven't seen all of the climate, the furrowed brow set of the climate. I haven't seen any of them ever do a Zoom call to have a meeting. And I mean, they could totally connect by teleconference and not use an ounce of carbon.
I'm gonna
But
give props to Rumble. Have they heard of Rumble? Like this thing we're on right now. They
yeah,
there's so
how
many
about that?
places they could, and it would still be a public because they do it if it's recorded. They
Right.
broadcast it live. Why can't they just do a Rumble?
I mean, this is a Zoom call basically, and I know
Yeah.
it's not Zoom technology, but it's the same thing.
Mm.
The program just takes over your
Well,
microphone
that's
and
my
but,
point. And
but
if you don't like Rumble for whatever reason, than YouTube. You
Yeah,
could
I mean,
do the same thing, broadcast all of your information to whoever you want to
right.
broadcast it to without jet setting. Because
And
clearly
with
you don't have a problem with getting on a Gulfstream private jet and flying. You just don't want the serfs
right.
to do it.
And it's so much easier to meet hookers over in Davos, because there's a
Mhm.
seller's market there, so they all flock, and that's lot harder to do if you're at home with your spouse.
That's a good point. I was wondering, a side topic. I honestly thought about this the last couple of days. So, like, I know how Hobots attack and they attack lonely people, whether it's men or women, doesn't matter what age. They attack them, and the grift is right to eventually get them to, hey, I need money to pay for school, or I need money for the like.
Always,
I was
always.
wondering, hear me out because this. I wonder if true AGI companions for lonely people will destroy the Hobot industry because you'll have somebody to talk to that always remembers your conversation, that's not asking you for money, that's not asking you for anything. It's just there. It talks to you. It talks back to you. It has conversations with you. And I wonder if it really, I'm trying to look at this because a lot of people are like, these AI companion, oh, they're just sex bots. I was like, I don't really think that's what it's geared to. Of course, companies will do that, but I don't think in general AI companions, or once the robots show up in the next year or two, AI robot companions. But for those who can't afford that, just on your phone, if that finally puts Hobots out of business, who are entirely their entire business structure is to get you to have feelings for them, whether it's romantic or not, and then go, oh, something bad just happened. Can you send me X amount of money on gift cards or through Venmo or through something
Right.
else? And
Well,
I'm
you
wondering if
never have
I'm just wondering if that could happen or if that will happen.
anything is possible. I don't have a take on it, but I mean, I know that I can already tell the type of DM I'm getting right from the very start, and it usually takes about 5 or 6 exchanges before the request comes.
No, no, I get it. Like, so there's people that can see it, but there's a lot of people that can't see it,
Yeah,
right? And if they're loneliness is a big issue. Like, if you're gonna live a hermit's life, you gotta
yeah,
learn. You gotta learn how to live a hermit's life. You need to learn how to live without human interaction. But some people, they just don't have a choice. For whatever reason, they don't have a choice. And so when somebody drops them a DM on Facebook or
yeah,
Snapchat or on TikTok or on, I'm not blaming a specific social media site. And they're like, hey, I really enjoy your posts. What do
yeah,
you think about? And they'll ask you about one of your posts specifically. Sometimes that's fish on. They got them because,
yeah.
oh, well, somebody's engaging with me about a post I made. Oh, I'm gonna start, and then
They noticed
off
me,
to the races we go.
and I'm
They
smart.
notice,
Yeah, they noticed me. True.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I have heard that Sean. I know that we don't have a lot in common culturally with the Japanese, but I have heard that the Japanese being median age being quite a bit older than the United States, that they have explored more extensively the droid partner arrangement
Like the
with older
robotic
right,
style,
with older
right?
people. Yeah, they have, and I don't know what the results are because that's not anything that anybody's trying to dig out here. We're trying to save our own ass, and that's where the energy is. But at the same time, I know they're doing that, and I am curious if there's any data or if there's any feedback on how that's going.
Yeah, it's really opening the question up to the listeners, and drop us a comment, send us a DM, send us an email. Again, I'll list the email for everybody if you want to. I don't care if it's hate mail. Sean Strom at Gmail is the email for this podcast. I'm honestly curious if that, because there's lots of lonely people. That's always been a thing. But Hobots, ever since social media has been a
Yes,
thing, have been grifting scumbags the entire time, and I wonder if that could be eliminated by an AI companion.
it's very possible if the AI companion doesn't talk you into killing yourself, like you like you,
That's
like you had
true.
with that, yeah, like you had with that teenage kid. Yeah.
There is one certain AI company that I'm just not gonna mention their name, but everybody's gonna know who I'm talking about, and, it was a company founded by Elon, and then Elon left for good
Uh,
reason.
yes.
Left for good reason. And, they are all those news stories typically revolve around that specific company. I it's I wish I could say a whole lot more, but I can't because we're on YouTube and Rumble, and
Yeah.
I can't. I can't. I mean, YouTube's own parent company, Gemini, is far better than this company I'm talking about. It's awful.
Yes.
So I can't.
Don't do it.
I'm not. I'm actually gonna move subjects. I just wanted to braise the subject. Uh, can we talk about how disgusting um Democratic Congress members are, saying that the DC Guard is illegally in DC right now?
Well, they just got a couple of guys killed.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but
and after this happens, they come out and say, "Well, it's because the Guard is illegal." The
right.
Guard is illegally which is not true. This is not true.
I know
And
it's not.
if the Guard wouldn't have been there, if they would wait, listen. If the Guard wouldn't have had their skirt so short, this wouldn't have happened to them. That's what they're saying. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, Sean, those two guys were shot in the back of the head. So you're going to try to sell me on the fact that they made them do it? I
Oh,
mean,
this guy was
why
no, no, no. That's what I've been watching the internet for the last hour and a half, and
yeah.
basically Democrat members of Congress, and then some of the big accounts are like, I want to be clear when I say this. Well, their skirt was too short. If they would have wore a longer skirt, they wouldn't have been raped.
Uh I am just stunned that that sort of thinking still happens. Really, and that they're not embarrassed to trot that out. You do realize that overall, they think we're absolutely ridiculously stupid. They think we can't even remember what they said yesterday.
I
They'll
totally
they'll
agree.
turn on a dime and make the exact same argument you're making tomorrow and act like it was their idea. They're really fundamentally dishonest.
Well, no, no, no. Like, to reinforce that, uh, even when you call them out on that, they will say, Why are you looking at me? Why? I don't understand why you're looking at me. What does it matter what I said yesterday? We're living in the future. We're here today."
Right, right. Move
right?
on.
Move on.
Hmm.
Like, that was a different day. Now we're here today, and you're just like, "You guys seriously? You're the worst human beings on the world." And when you call, your opposite than fascist, we're all looking at you going, "Wait, look in the mirror, bro."
Oh, I mean, it's the definition of fascism. It's I mean, it's prototypical. Look, um, I tend to run on when I set up a story, but I remember the whole COVID thing where we all got a really fast education into how totalitarian they want to be, and Whitmer was happily locking down all of Michigan, putting, you couldn't buy seeds at Walmart, but you could buy this. These were non-essential items, so you couldn't buy them. For and how that would stop infection, I have no idea. Um, and once again, sanitation was really the issue as opposed to the virus itself. But you couldn't say that, or else you would lose your account.
Yes.
And finally, that one barber said, "Look, we're regulated by the state cosmetology board, and we're regulated for sanitation. And your social distancing and your masking, it doesn't mean anything to us because we've already taken precautions to keep from transmitting germs to the people that come in to see us. So this barber says, I'm simply not going to close, and because people need their haircut and it's essential." And Gretchen Whitmer pulled his business license.
Mhm.
Folks, that is fascism.
All while Nancy Pelosi in a different state went to get her hair blown out. Does
Hmm.
anyone even know what that means? Because she wasn't getting a haircut. She was literally just getting her hair blown out and spray put in it to glue it into place for the next week.
Right. And they were washing it for her.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah. Wait, she has to have servants wash her hair?
uh-huh.
Huh. Well, that's weird. That sounds like something an oligarch would do.
Doesn't it? And yet without the security cameras from that salon, we would have never known she did it. And
I
of course you remember Trump with Kayleigh McEnany. He had Pelosi's blowout running on the video board in the press.
I get the for the people that listen to us that might be for some reason tired of Trump, and I think you're only tired of Trump. I could be wrong. You can tell us in the comments or you can email us directly. I think you're tired of Trump because you're tired of the media bashing him in all the lawfare, and you're just like, I just want it to end, so it would be easier without Trump. No, it won't be.
We tried that.
We tried that for 4 years. How much fun was
Yeah.
that? I
Yeah.
I think what you're looking at is uh, we have all of the examples of Senator Bernie Sanders, the socialist with three mansions. We have all the examples of him calling that there is a growing oligarchy, but it's them. It is the left. It is the left wing politicians that are the oligarchy. And without that, he's got nothing to bitch about, even though he's become one of the oligarchs. Because uh, I don't know how you get into the Senate and become a gazillionaire and say you want to tax the rich, because obviously you know you're not going to be taxed. I think we lost the internet connection on JC, and that's fine. Let's see if we can get him back in. We're cooking. We're totally cooking. We're
All
cooking.
right.
What's up? He's back.
Yeah, you just froze for a minute, so I decided I'd give you a chance to thaw out.
Oh, it was me.
Yeah,
It might have been. It actually might have been me.
yeah.
We stayed online, so at least that
I
connection's
think I
stayed.
think it, I think it might have been. I think it might have been me. Yeah.
Listen.
I'm working on a 9-year-old Netgear router and a wireless
Holy
network that
shit! 9 years old?
yeah, that's coming from the back of the salon, and I'm up in the at the front desk. So it's just be glad I'm not trying to do this in my office, or I would have probably cut out 5 times so far.
Man, if you want a recommendation on a mesh network, I'll send you one that will cover
Let's
the salon.
let's see how the
Oh,
meeting goes.
oh, 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 and it can have the business network, the mesh network I'm thinking of. I know it's Chinese. Hear me out. You can actually have a hold on. It can have the business network isolated and a guest network separate,
Okay,
so that all your guests can watch their TikTok videos while
and it
they're
won't
getting
slow
their.
anything down. Yeah.
Yeah, they can't get into your network. It
Okay.
isolates to a guest network, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, I was making fun of oligarchs like Bernie Sanders calling for the end of oligarchs.
Yeah, and he's still trying to do it. I mean, he and AOC were on the what fight the oligarchy tour, and they were
Yeah,
doing it in private jets and first class hotel rooms. Yeah.
just wait until she's as old as Bernie Sanders. She'll probably be a trillionaire from the government.
Well,
She's an
I mean,
they are the oligarchs that they want to end.
yes, but Sean, my probably my most used meme, and you if you shit post with me on X frequently, you know I have some regular things that I'll throw out there because they're always true. But one that I have with a big blue D on it with a circle, it's different when Democrats do it.
The one
And
I
that,
always post to, yeah, I've seen that one. The one I always post back to Bernie, and
yeah,
then I just say once again, and then I post the meme. It says, "Once again, I'm asking you to ignore my 3 lavish mansions."
yes, yes,
Which what his quote is, once again, I'm asking you to donate to,
right, of
but
course.
it says, once again,
Well,
I'm asking you to ignore my 3 lavish mansions. Bernie, you donate the money. Donate one of your mansions.
Mom Donnie is fishing for contributions in New York right now. He's as wealthy as the wealthiest people in New York City, and
Mhm.
he's passing the tin cup.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm getting super out of nowhere political activist Obama vibes out of Mamdani, and
Oh yeah,
I'm thinking that the machine is trying to recreate something like that.
I think so too. In fact, I saw a video clip where some Democrat operatives were confessing that they've been planning this since 2014 and that they've been grooming him for this. They see him as someone with a
The way
quick
he
smile.
talks, the way he
Yeah,
acts,
yeah,
I
yeah.
like, that was my observation. It's like, holy, because if you look back, and so most of our audience is going to be old enough, but maybe there's not. When Obama came in, he was a congressman for a year or senator for a year.
He was a state senator, and then he
For
ran
a
for U.S.
year,
Senate. Yeah.
and he was a community agitator, as quoted by Rush Limbaugh. He was
Right,
agitator, not activist, agitator. And then all of a sudden got elevated to a level that nobody's ever seen. Like a normal Democrat primary would have taken him out because he wasn't part of the machine. Well, he
right.
was part of the machine. And
Well,
so he progressed all the way in. And I get the same feeling. And Mondami, and I got to go a step further. Everyone's looking at, well, who's the next Democrat presidential candidate? Oh, it's Gavin Newsom or it's AOC. I said, no, 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 no. You're missing the whole thing right in front of you. It's this guy.
If he has any success at all, you're right.
Yeah.
And Trump is saying that he wants him to be successful because he loves New York, and I understand that sentiment, but you don't want to be giving this guy credit. You really don't. You don't want.
I think though, with you got to go back to the rules of Trumpism. With the meeting with him, and who knows what will actually happen. There was already a deal made, which is
Oh, yeah.
that Mamdani said, yeah, we'll help support your ICE raids on violent criminals. So there was a deal made, but you got to go back to the rules of Trumpism, and there are two. Trump wins. A deal can always be made as long as it adheres to rule number one.
Right.
That's Trumpism, and that's the way it's always been with Trump. And so when people come to me and they're like, "How dare your president? If you hate socialism or communism, how dare you?" I said, "Do you know the rules of Trumpism? Do you know the rules of because this is like you're missing the whole thing that Trump does. He will meet with anybody. He will make a
Yes.
deal with anybody." And he's
Yeah.
already made a deal with Mamdani, and he will try to make more deals with Mamdani. And that's where we're at. And you
He
guys,
certainly made a deal with her.
literally after
Certainly,
10 years, you still don't understand Trumpism?
he certainly made a deal with Eric Adams, and the one thing that most people don't even think about is that once Trump made the deal with Adams, New York got a lot better. I mean, it actually started to recover from de Blasio finally, because Adams was leading him off the cliff, and once the federal indictment came down, Adams pulled his horns in, and then Trump turned him around, and he was actually constructive and did a pretty good job the second half of his term, but he'd already been so discredited and hated that there was no way that he could win re-election.
Oh, no, totally agree. I think what people miss about that story is that Adams, even though he course corrected, he wasn't a good guy to begin with,
No,
and he only course corrected just enough.
just stay out of jail. Yeah,
Yeah, well, no, honestly, yeah.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
at
well,
least you could persuade him. I mean, you can't say,
yeah, but also we'll have the left telling me, well, that's Donald Trump being a dictator, and I'll say, is it?
but if anybody says, no, the natural course for what Adams did would be to go to prison. He broke the law. He did. He was corrupt. In fact, nearly everyone from his administration ended up in either resigning in disgrace or going to jail. I mean, he was a corrupt dude. Okay,
Hmm.
there's no question about it. And you say, well, isn't that what Trump does? Well, no, not at all. In fact, if that was what Trump did, the seditious six would already be in jail. They wouldn't be walking around. I mean, that was so. I mean, Trump's raging on Truth Social, saying, this we've got to prosecute these people, and nothing happens, does it?
No, it doesn't, and it likely
No.
won't. And that might be the curmudgeon in us, but it likely won't because it doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat, they are above the law if they are in Congress. They are.
Right.
And we've seen that over and over. That's been proven to be true. Congress can do whatever Congress wants to do. And like the names of the seditious six, these people need to come up with better, more clever things. But It was seditious behavior, and it's a criminal offense with a severe punishment. It doesn't always include ending of life, but it could be life in prison. And
Yeah.
that's the problem is that we have gotten away from that. So that brings me back to what about 1865 when the Insurrection Act was actually put into place after the Democrats murdered
Oh,
a president named
imagine that.
Abraham Lincoln and said that insurrectionists can never hold political office. It I so I think there's some confusion here when you see people calling to enact the Insurrection Act. This is not the 14th, 15th, or 16th Amendment. Those were all about in the same time period, within about 10
Right.
years of each other. The Insurrection Act specifically, uh, what people are calling for is to get insurrectionists like Mark Kelly, Lisa Slotkin, removed from office because they are, in fact,
So,
insurrectionists.
right. Right.
This has like people just they're not grasping what this means because it was purposefully diluted by January 6th and the fake
Prosecution.
instigated
Yeah. Yes.
January 6th, calling it an insurrection. And every time somebody asks me about that insurrection, I say, was a single person charged with insurrection?
No.
No.
Not one. Not one.
This is insurrection.
It is.
This, so at bare minimum, JC, at bare minimum, they should be removed from office,
Yes.
expelled from
And
office.
and I'm remember I told you I blocked a media personality who I will not name. He's a has been simply because he said that Mark Kelly's a great patriot and there's no reason you would do anything to him. And I'm like, and I thought to myself, what's Kelly's ethnic background? Because it seems to me that to make a comment that clueless, you would have to share some blood with someone, because you're. I mean, Mark Kelly, as far as I'm concerned, is the worst of the six, simply because he's still military.
He's still military,
Yeah, yeah, and
which
he
is
and he
which is
actually,
why the military is going to go ahead and look at him with the Jags.
I, you know what, in my fever dream, Sean, it would be him and Lieutenant Colonel Donut Vindman
Finman.
facing a tribunal for courts martial at the same time.
Oh, did
I,
you
I,
see the post from Finman? He said, "Please, I was a former Jag. Please recall me to active duty so I could defend Mark Kelly."
defend Mark Kelly, so then we can have who's going to defend you.
I was like, "Yeah, fucking make it happen. Do it. Do it. Make it happen." Like, God, Jesus. Finman, I mean, Finman's the worst of the worst. Finman is one of the key conspirators in the Russia hoax.
Well, and then the impeachment and the whole thing. I mean, he was there the whole way.
The impeachment happened because of the Russia hoax. There was
Right.
no
It was
Russia.
just it was a continuation. I remember Trump putting the Game of Thrones graphics on the TV, saying "Game over." I got off. The Mueller probe, and then they started the impeachment the next week.
Of
They
course.
did. Yeah, they didn't. He didn't even have a minute to breathe,
Ah,
which was the idea. They wanted to keep him so bottled up that he couldn't do anything. That was the whole point, and they're trying to do it again.
they're
That's
still
what
trying to
that's
do
what
it.
yeah, that's what President Boasberg is doing. I mean, these cases are silly. The idea that he's going to turn around and resurrect this thing about whether they should have turned the planes around midair and brought the Tren de Aragua terrorists back to the United States. Are you joking? Can't you guys ever say die? No.
What I guess the whole point that needs to be made, because it's going to continue happening. The
I
whole point
know.
that needs to be made is that ever since Trump came down the golden escalator, and he was not one of them. He wasn't
Right.
a Bush. He wasn't a Clinton or Obama or a Biden or a Slotkin or
Or
a
or a
Kelly or
or a Dole.
a Dole. Like you just keep going all the way back, right? Cheney.
Uh,
He wasn't one. He wasn't one of them. This is why they have fought so hard against him. And what I'll say to that for our listeners is that when you want to talk about a uniparty or we just want to get along to get along, those were all the same. So did stuff really change for you up until Obama? Up change for you from let's maybe say after Carter. So you had Reagan, but did stuff really in your life change? Were gas prices drastically changed? Was food prices drastically changed? Were American policies, other than lots and lots of war, drastically changed up until we got to Obama? It did change. All of those things changed. And then Trump said, fuck this shit. I'm running for president.
right.
No,
Right.
and you have to look at that. Like that was the every. It didn't matter whether it was Republican or Democrat. They were also mediocre milk toast. The same,
But that was the point. The thing is that it was the era of Tweedledum and Tweedledummer in American politics.
and
What
they
whoever
made George W. look like the most retarded human being on the planet, and everyone's like, "I don't care. Let him throw out the first pitch."
yeah, he just looked like a dumb chimp.
And he
And it turned
he actually wasn't.
I
Um,
know, but
we might
we
have
may
to
have been
we might
better
have to do some GW history. He wasn't.
we may have been we may have been better off with a chimp though. I mean, he really was a lousy
I
president.
I do you just nailed my point because GW was smart enough to know he was involved in the whole thing. All of
Yeah,
it. All the way back to post Carter. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not saying Ronald Reagan did intentionally wrong. He was misled. He had some crucial mistakes. The first crucial mistake was mass amnesty. The second was offshoring manufacturing to China. And I still love him as a president. I really do. I'm willing to admit those two fatal flaws screwed us.
Well, and I would still say that the mass amnesty, as I've said before, and this is just a counterpoint, it was the first time that anyone had ever the Democrats had ever said they were going to enforce the border. They had never even agreed to do it before then because it was obvious that you needed to do it. So to him, the idea that you would trade, um, that you would trade the forgiveness of the amnesty with a promise for border security, so we can stop it now, would make a certain modicum of sense because you have a grand bargain, and that's what politicians are always trying to do.
Mm.
Uh, but there's no excuse for any Republican following him to cut any deals on immigration with Democrats because they've shown you that it's bad faith. In the same way, Sean, you talk about Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. No new taxes was the campaign promise. Read my lips.
Read my lips.
No new taxes. No new
Except you're all
taxes.
getting a 7% new tax.
Yeah, and of course, then we sit down and George Mitchell walks in and says, President Bush, he says, we aren't even going to pass a spending bill. We're just going to shut the government down until you agree to raise taxes. And so we come out with this grand bargain where there's going to be $3 of spending cuts for every dollar tax raise. And of course, the final tally was $1.52 of new spending for every dollar taken in taxes, which is the way it always ends up.
I know you gotta drop out. I know you gotta drop out, but for people who look at Trump because Trump loves to spend money, what are your thoughts on this? Because hold on, because I think what Trump's plan is to spend big to get big in return. What are your thoughts on Trump overspending? Because he does.
I don't think he has much choice. And I don't mean to always give him a pass, but you see the appetite that the Republicans have for reductions of any spending.
Hmm.
He had to fight for a $9 billion pocket rescission that they didn't even have to vote on. Just to have NPR fall off. I mean, that should have been the easiest vote of all time, but it wasn't, was it? They tried to get out of it. They did. They always
They're
try to
still
get out of
bitching
it.
about it.
They don't want to cut anything. They don't want to cut anything. So until that changes, it's uphill. And Mark Mitchell keeps pointing out that Trump was really riding high when Elon was pointing out all of the abuses involved with discovering them with Doge. And yes, that was great. He says he should have built on that momentum. And I want to say, Mark, if you think that Trump could have built on that momentum, how many of his executive orders have been codified into law?
That's the point. That's the point. Congress refused to implement Doge.
Right. And they refused to codify his executive
Republicans,
orders.
Democrats, they refused. They looked at it, they're like, fuck this shit.
Yeah,
I
we don't
want
want any part of
Doge.
it.
I'm not gonna
We
Doge.
want to we want to get back to the era of
Why do you think
Tweedledum.
why do you think there was a temporary breakup in the bromance between Trump and Elon? Because Elon says, I laid all of this fraud on the table for you, and you fuckers, it wasn't Trump he was mad at. Congress is the fuckers. You
Right.
fuckers refused to eliminate the fraud. You're all in on it.
You absolutely had no interest in cutting one dime of spending. Now, Sean, you may not recall this. Remember what I told you about my ex-wife? She said she always wanted a man. She always wanted a man who would listen to her until she got so pissed when I remembered what she said. Anyway, but when it, when it comes down to the Doge cuts, do you remember who the head of the Doge committee was? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I'm just gonna
Now,
huff. I'm just gonna huff.
now, do you think anything got done? Do you think anything got done?
Do you have 2 more minutes? Because
Yeah, yeah.
I can't understand for the life of me how she gained popularity when all she does is screech like an angry ex-wife. That's all she's ever done.
All she
Doesn't matter
does.
the subject, and she could say, "I'm pro-Trump." When you're screaming that you're pro-Trump, you're still screaming at me like an angry ex-wife, and I don't like you.
The the reason that it resonated is because we really are sick of the political games, the Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, and she hit that chord
Okay,
in people. Okay,
okay.
and she went with it. She worked it, you know. And in fact, you could tell she was always looking for the golden parachute. That's why she was playing footsie with McCarthy. I've posted that image of those two with their arms around each other more than 100 times
There's
because it was so
a
it was so shocking to me to see that because she's an opportunist.
oh, she's totally an opportunist, and that's I don't believe, and to be clear, I don't believe she's disingenuous in her beliefs. But I totally believe she's an opportunist, and I think she's taking this opportunity. Now she already has an eight-figure company, not seven, eight. She's
Go on.
hold on. I'm going to make a prediction right now. She gets into defense contracting.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Right? She's gonna sell missiles to Iran,
China.
shit like that. Oh, I know. I said Iran. And well, who does she
Okay.
care who she sells them to? It's
She
probably
doesn't care.
she doesn't care. No,
She
I do
didn't care.
believe it was faithful to her beliefs, but the key word you said it was opportunist.
Right. And I mean, she self-identified as that by scheduling her retirement for 2 days after her pension vests. You know, why not leave now? Well, no, I have to wait till January
Which,
until my pension vests.
the funny part about that, at first she doesn't need the money. She's
Right.
got multiple millions of dollars in
She
assets, not in the bank. People need to understand the difference between assets and cash.
Well,
But
some
hold
of
on,
it's in a brokerage account because she turned into a Nancy Pelosi
she
Jr.
did.
stock
She
trader. Yeah.
absolutely did. But she's going to have massive opportunities
Oh
to
yeah.
use this in war contracting.
Well, she also has other things that she's willing to use as assets in cutting deals. I guarantee it.
Well, not only works for Kevin McCarthy because, dude, that chick is not. No, no, no.
What was it? What Jasmine Crockett call her? The wide butch body.
It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, podcast world. It doesn't work for me. I'm not.
It's okay.
No.
No,
All right.
you don't need to. Sean, you don't have to have a fetish for fire hydrants. You really don't.
All right. Let's close this one out, man. Hey, everybody! I swear to God, get as fat as Chris Christie this Thanksgiving and give thanks to God.
Amen.